Now, friends, come to this particular part of the discussion of residential status with respect to the companies and some of the other miscellaneous provisions and some miscellaneous questions. Okay. Now, first of all, let me introduce to you the residential status of a company. Okay. Thereafter, we'll discuss this particular point. Okay. So, let me introduce this section 6 is residential status provision, and see this subclause 3. Okay. A company is said to be resident in India. A company is said to be resident in India if assessed is an Indian company. So if there is any company which is an Indian company is always resident in India. I repeat, Indian company is always resident in India. Always. Okay. So no ifs and buts. Indian companies are always resident in India. And or okay, if the place of effective management in that year is in India. That means with respect to the foreign companies, if the place of effective management, it is also in shortcut called as POEM. Okay, place of effective management, also in shortcut called as POEM. If the POEM is inside India, if the effective management is inside India, in that particular case, it will be regarded as resident in India. Okay. So, with respect to the foreign companies, we need to see the place of effective management. Further, the explanation. The place of effective management means where the key management, commercial decisions, wherever it is necessary for the conduct of the business are being taken. That means where the head and brain of that particular company is situated, like for board of directors, board meetings and all that kind of situation. However, this POEM is by itself one very good another concept where there are some circulars on that particular front, where right now I will not go into the details. I will do this at little bit of advanced level, but right now we'll just keep it into mind that where the key decisions are being taken of a company is a place of effective management, and if that particular place is inside India, in that case it will be regarded as resident in India. Okay. So Indian company is always resident and effective management, and POEM, there are some circulars on that particular front, but that will be discussing at little advanced level, not here itself. Okay. And I already told you that now this particular company can have either of the status only, can be resident or it can be non-resident. So there is nothing like not ordinarily resident here. So either of the two status is possible. Further, in my material also, in this simplified version also, here I have already given you this particular notes. So it is a same to same notes only, and a very simple one, but just for your reference I am bringing this particular notes to your reference. Okay. Now let us try that particular question. Okay. X Limited is an Indian company. However, it carries on business in USA. All the shareholders are resident of USA. The board meeting, annual general meeting are held outside India. What is the residential status of X Limited? Okay. Indian company is always resident in India. No further discussion. Okay. No matter where your business is, no matter where your annual general meeting, nothing doing. If the company is an Indian company is always resident in India. So that's the answer. Indian company is always resident in India. Now, no matter where your shareholders, board meetings, nothing doing. Okay. So whatever data has been given in the circumstances is not very much relevant for us to decide that particular point. Okay. That's all. Come to the next question. X is carrying on trading business in Lucknow since 1995. Business income of X during the previous year 3-4 is 7,50,000. Moreover, X purchased a property in February 10, 2004 for 20 lakhs and immediately from February 11, 2004 let out the property on a rent of rupees 25,000 per month. His income under the head income from house property of the previous year 3-4 comes to 40,000 rupees. Now friends, actually this particular question or this concept is a very, very corner provision. I think hardly it ever been focused in textbooks or what should I say, examination, hardly they ask you questions of this particular type, but there is a special provision which first of all I want to bring it to your notice. Okay, and see these provisions of section 6.5. Provisions of section 6.5. Okay, if a person is resident in India in a previous year, if a person is resident in India for a previous year, relevant to the assessment respect of any source of income, in respect of any source of income, he shall be deemed to be resident in India, in that previous year, relevant to that assessment year, in respect of each of the other source of income. Mamma mia. Now, the interpretation which is given by this particular provision and which is a bit popular at the advanced level, that is a source of income. Okay, so you have to see your residential status with respect to a source of income. Supposing source of income 1, if you are resident and you have another source of income, okay, so you will be resident for all the source of income. So basically you have to calculate, or you have to think a little bit differently, that for a source of income what is your status, and accordingly you will have to take that particular decision. Okay, now see how this particular question is to be interpreted and how it is to be answered. Okay, so for one source, now see, he is in Lucknow since 1985. Business of X is during previous year is 7,50,000. Okay, moreover, X purchased a property on February 10, 2004. Okay, so that is 20 lakhs and he let out from 11th February itself. Okay, then there is a rental income. His income under that house property for the previous year comes out to 40,000. Okay, whatever it is. Now see, the house property income starts from February 11, 2004. Okay, so your property you purchased on 10th and from 11th you already started. So you got that particular property from 10th. Okay, so you can calculate for the source of income. Your source of income is the house property. Okay, so you can calculate the number of days from 10th of February to 31st of March. Okay, so roughly it is about I think 51 days. Okay, it is some 51 days. Okay, then he has already got a business income and the business has already been running since so many years. So business, this is for house property. For the business, it is entire 365 days. Okay, so for business, for the source of income, that is for 365 days. So you are resident with respect to that particular source of income, that is business. So you will be resident for even the other source of income. This is how it is to be interpreted. But this is a very corner and very dicey kind of a provision. That's the reason I told you that this particular provisions, very unique kind of provision, least possible practical application. But there is a provision of this type that you have to calculate for a source of income. Okay, and for that source of income, number of days you have to see and then take the decision. I mean, very unique kind of situation. Ultimately, the law is trying to say that if for any one source of income, if you are resident, then you are resident for all the source of income is the message which is given by the law. Answer, how will you write here? Okay, here you will write the answer saying that since for business income you are resident, just take down the answer. Okay, you will be resident even for the house property income as per the provisions of section 6.5 of the Income Tax Act. Full stop. That's it. Now friends, come to this particular question ID number 81. Mr. Anand is an Indian citizen and member of a crew of a Singapore bound Indian ship engaged in carriage of passenger in international traffic departing from Chennai port on 6th of June. From the following details, determine the residential status of Mr. Anand, assuming that his stay in India in last 4 previous year, preceding the previous, that is 400 days, and last 7 preceding years is 750 number of days. Date entered into continuous discharge certificate in respect of joining the ship by Mr. Anand, 6 June. Date entered into continuous discharge certificate in respect of signing off ship by Mr. Anand is 9th of December. Okay. Now friends, here there are just 1 or 2 main points that should be kept in our back memory. See, first of all, our individual format of doing this. Okay. Now this gentleman is going on an outbound ship. That means he is going outside India, and he is going as a crew member. So a citizen goes abroad for employment or as a crew member. But remember one thing, that it should be a foreign going ship. I repeat, it should be a foreign going ship. And in the given question, it is an outbound ship. That means it is a foreign going ship. So instead of 60 days, I will have to substitute that with 182 number of days. Okay. And accordingly, I will have to apply this particular provisions. Now, when I have already decided this, and he is a citizen also, I think, yeah, because only then these provisions can apply. So he is an Indian citizen also, and as a crew member also, and it is Singapore bound Indian ship. That means it is a foreign going vessel. Now, you just have to calculate his number of days stay. Last 4 years preceding the previous year, 400 days is already given to us, so that I can already update here. And that is a ready-made number which is already given to me. Now I would like to calculate his number of days stay in India. Now one of the point that you have to remember here, that as a crew member there is a CBDT circular which says that the date of entry or the date of exit, okay, will not be regarded as a stay in India. Will not be regarded as a stay in India. See, normally throughout the entire chapter that we have already studied, that the day of entry, that means the day when you enter into India, you might not have stayed full 24 hours into India, but still we will take it as a full day, that means a stay in India for the purpose of calculation of number of days stay in India. Correct? However, in relation to the crew member, the day of entry and the day of exit, first of all, will not be taken as a stay in India. That is number 1. Okay. Second point, that you will have to accept the dates which are in this continuous discharge certificate. So these dates, 6th June which is given to us, and the 9th December, etc., that is given, these will be the relevant date which are certified in this particular certificate. Okay, so see why this particular doubt can come into picture, because say for example, this is a ship, okay, this is at the Mumbai port. Now it may take few days or sometimes one day to cross the Indian waters. So you will feel that the ship is already in the Indian waters, so whether his stay will be inside India, outside India, like this kind of confusion can be created. So nothing of that sort. We have to accept the dates which are provided in the certificate, and the date of entry and the date of exit will not be treated as a stay in India. Okay, in other words, your stay in India should be full 24 hour stay. This is how, if at all you want to understand, you can understand like that also. Okay, now see, now this gentleman is Mr. Anand, so that days calculation is only something which is important here. Mr. Anand, okay, his stay in India, Mr. Anand is going through a crew member, and the ship is taking a discharge on 6th of June. Okay, so departure of the ship is on 6th of June. That means 1st of April to 6th of June he is inside India. However, because he is going as a crew member, the 6th of June is a date of departure. So 6th of June will not be taken as a stay in India. Only 5th of June will be regarded as a stay in India. In other words, the 6th June will be regarded as a stay outside India. Have you understood that? Now on the 6th June he has already gone abroad. Okay. Now the date entered into continuous discharge certificate in respect of signing off by the ship. That means ship comes back to India. So he is going to sign off his duties, and he is going to do that on 9th of December. Okay. So from 9th of December to 31st of March, he is inside India. But because he is doing it as a crew member, the day of entry, which is the 9th of December, that will not be taken as a day inside India. So his stay inside India will be taken from 10th of December. This is going to be the main difference. Have you understood that? Make a note of this very, very importantly. Okay. Now we can just put it into our these stay in India and all that kind of format, so that you can give a better answer in the examination condition. Okay. So April, he is 30 days inside India. May 31 is inside India. June 30 days he is inside India. No, I think 5th of June. Let me check. Yeah, 5th of June he is inside India, up to 5th of June. Okay. So in the June, only 5 days. Thereafter he has gone. So July is outside India, August is outside India, September is outside India, October also he is outside India, because all these days we are calculating his day inside India. November also is outside India. Okay. Now the December, I think he is returning on 10th of December. Okay. From 10th of December we have to calculate. So December has 31 days. So 10th is inside India. So it is going to be 22 number of days inside India. You can calculate on your fingers also. Okay. You can calculate also. See 10, 11, 12. Because 10 is inside India. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 and 31. That comes to 22 days. Like that also you can calculate. Okay. So January thereafter is inside India. February also is inside India. 28 days, and March also he is inside India. Okay. So these are all days that he is inside India. Take the total. It comes to 178 days. And this calculation is only the heart of this particular question. Otherwise, this question is very, very easy. Okay. So now his stay in India is 178 days. Is that clear? 6.1a is not satisfied. Now practically, because under 6.1c 182 days have been substituted, we can say that it is not functional, because 182 days test becomes the same. That way many people explain. I also explained it to you many times. However, we will test it. Logically this is not functional. Logically this is not functional. That means this is not relevant. Because A has failed, even C is bound to fail, because it's a common condition. So this condition has failed. However, this 400 days condition have passed. Okay. But in all, the condition has failed, because both the condition under 6.1c, it is a AND condition. Okay. So overall condition has failed, and therefore you can say that he is a non-resident. Is that clear? That's all. And moment he is a non-resident, there is no need to apply any further tests. However, that 7 years total and all that, I think somewhere it is already given to us in the question. See this 7 years, 7 previous year preceding is 750 days and all that. That is only to confuse us. That is only to confuse us. So if you want, you can write a note here. You can write a note here that since we are already non-resident, further test is not to be applied. So data is given to us to confuse us, and we have, and time and again in the previous classes also I've explained that to you, that if you're non-resident, it's a final answer, it's a final step. Okay, so no further discussion. However, this is debatable, but this is very well accepted view. So we will go with that view, saying that assessee is a non-resident in the given case. And together with that, you have to write that particular note about that crew member, number of days calculation, and the working. Now friends, come to this particular question ID number 82. Good question, a simple question, but Mr. C, a Japanese citizen, left India after a stay of 10 years on 1/6/2015. During the financial year 2016-17, he comes to India for 46 days. Later, he returns to India for 1 year on 10/10/2017. Determine his residential status for the assessment year 18-19. The first thing, that moment the question already printing that this is assessment year 18-19, previous year 17-18. Okay, so you have to think like that. That is the first thing. Okay, secondly, he is a Japanese citizen, so he is not a citizen of India. And secondly, no data about person of Indian origin, so we will say that is not even a person of Indian origin. And therefore, the first conclusion that we will derive in our understanding of this residential status, okay, is that these provisions of substituting that 60 days with some number of days will not be applicable. 61A provisions also will not be applicable, because these provisions at appropriate places is applicable to citizen or the person of Indian origin, as the case may be, at the respective places. Okay, that is point number 1. Okay, so this is something we have to, that means 60 days only it will remain for the purpose of applying that particular test. Okay, now previous year 17-18, that is the year for which you want to calculate. Okay, so earlier years will be 16-17, 15-16, 14-15. Friends, I've already told you that all these years as presented is illustrative, because we are going to solve the answer always as per the law of the latest year. Okay, so this, because it is multiple years, no, so these are all illustrative years. Okay, now he has stayed in India for 10 years and he left on 1/6/2015. He has left on 1/6/2015. Okay, now during the financial year he left on 1/6/2015. So first of all, 1/4/2015 to 1/6/2015 he is inside India. Okay, so this will come in which particular year? 15-16 year this will come. 15-16. Okay, so 1st April to 1st June. So how much it comes to? See, in 15-16, I think April is going to be 30 days, May 31 days, and June 1. Okay, so this is going to be 62 days. Number of days stay in India, that is 62. Okay, so 15-16 he stay in India is this. Okay, now during the financial year 16-17 he comes to India for 46 days. So financial year 16-17, straight away number is given to us is 46 days. Okay, what about the earlier years? He was always present in India for some 10 years. So it is all 365 that way. For 10 years he was present in India. Okay, now later, let me erase this. Okay, later he returns to India for 1 year. He returns to India for 1 year on 10th of October 2017. Okay, so from 10th October 2017 he is inside India. So 10th October 2017 will come in 17-18. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, from 10th October 2017. 1 second, let me erase all this now. First of all, from 10th October to 31st of March 2018. this much period he is inside India because he has already returned to India on this particular date. And this will come in your previous year 17-18. So previous year 17-18, 10th October to 31st of March. Okay, so that you can calculate. October has got 30 number of days. Let me check. Let me erase these also. Okay. October has 31 days. He is returning on 10th of October, so 22 days, because 10th October is also inside India. The day of entry and date of exit is inside India. So he is inside India. So 22, 30, 31, 31, 28 and 31. Okay. Just take the total 173 days. 173 days he is inside India. Okay. For the previous year. So this basic structure that you will have to develop. Okay. So this is 173 days. Now the things become simple. Okay. So during the previous year he has stayed in India for 173 days. The previous 4 years total you can take, and previous 7 years total also you can take, and all that kind of situation. And we can now directly go to our format moment that is ready. Okay. See, during the previous year he has stayed for 173 days. Okay. And previous 4 years total is 46 plus 62 plus 365 plus 365 is 838 number of days. Just check. Okay. Now 61A is not satisfied, but the 60 days test is satisfied, and 365 days test, and don't forget this and. Okay. So overall condition is satisfied, and therefore assessee is resident in India. Is that okay? Fair enough. Now come to resident but not ordinarily resident test. 7 years total now we can already take. Pretty simple now, because you already have the 7 years data before year. So now this is going to be previous 7 years data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, you can take this particular total. You will get the 7 years data. Total for 7 years, I think I am getting 1933. Check the data. Okay. So this condition is not satisfied, because in order to become not ordinarily resident, your stay should be less than or equal to 729 days. That condition is not satisfied. So that's gone. Now, how many number of years that you are already non-resident in that particular situation? So here, practically, see, I will tell you, because there is always a shortcut way of deciding. See, 365 days, that means all these years you are resident only. Okay, straight away. Okay, now 62 days, then 4 preceding previous years. So anyway, it's a very bulky total. So this also will be resident. Okay, now this 46 days, you will be non-resident, because anyway it is less than 60. So you will be non-resident. So practically you are non-resident only for 1 year in the given circumstances. Okay, and so let me update. You are a non-resident only for 1 year, but at least 9 years you should be. If you want to become not ordinarily resident, no, 9 years you should be non-resident, only 1 year. So this condition is also not satisfied. Okay, and thus assessee is resident and ordinarily resident, because condition for not ordinarily resident is not satisfied, and therefore assessee is resident and ordinarily resident in the given situation. So update the answer quickly. Now come to this particular question ID number 83, very easy and manageable question. The business of HUF is transacted from Australia and all the policy decisions are taken there. Mr. E, the Karta of the HUF, who was born in Kolkata, visits India during the previous year after 15 years, and he comes to India on 1st of April of the previous year and leaves for Australia on 1st of December of the previous year. Determine the residential status of Mr. E and the HUF. Okay. Now, first of all, HUF residential status, resident, not ordinary resident, all the policy decisions are taken there. That means it is fully controlled from a place outside India, and therefore HUF will become non-resident. So this non-resident format, see that we already have. Okay, this is what we can use, because first of all you have to see HUF where it is controlled from. Okay, business is controlled from, one second, let me check where it is controlled from, one second. Business is transacted from Australia and all the policy decisions are taken there. So it is controlled from outside India. Okay, because it is transacted there. Mr. E. Karta of the HUF born in Kolkata visits India. He comes to India for this particular residential HUF. So this particular HUF is non-resident. Okay, so business is controlled wholly from Australia. Okay, thus the HUF is non-resident. Finish. And since assessee is a non-resident, there is no need for any further tests that may be come into picture. So in the given situation, it is non-resident and there is no need for us to apply any further test in the circumstances. So that's the answer with respect to the HUF. Okay. Now let us see from Karta point of view. Karta was born in Kolkata, visits India during the previous year. After 15 years, he comes to India on 1st of April. So from 1st of April to, and he leaves for Australia on 1st of December. This is, he is inside India. So it is going to be 245 days. Just check April, May, June and all that. Just take the total. It is 245 days. And since it is 245 days, it is more than equal to 182 days. So I'm not going into the details now. So he is going to become resident in India. Is that clear? Okay. Fair enough. So he is resident. One second. Let me just go and do it only so that you people will be able to understand better. Okay. So his stay in India is 245 days. Okay. Now his stay in the preceding previous years is nil. Let me see the question. See, he was born, visits India during previous year after 15 years. He visits after 15 years. That means for 15 years he was not into India at all. Is that clear? So 4 years preceding is nil. Okay. So anyway, 618 is satisfied. So he is resident. Okay. Now, after 15 years he came to India, no? So 7 years before it's going to be nil. And almost all the earlier years practically is going to be non-resident. So all 10 years is going to be non-resident. Because not even a single year he ever came into India. Okay. So he is going to be a not ordinarily resident. He is going to be not ordinarily resident in India. Is that clear? So now the final answer. The HUF is non-resident. Okay. But Mr. E will be resident but not ordinarily resident. This is how your final answer is going to be in the given circumstances. Is that okay? Again, a simple message to you that the residential status of HUF is on a different principle, on a different concept, and the residential status of individual is on a different concept altogether. However, the residential status of the HUF, not ordinarily resident provision, it depends on the number of days stay of the Karta. So don't mix these things. Keep the calculation of the HUF separately, get the answer separately, and for the individual, do the separate calculation because they are separate provisions altogether, and accordingly you will have to get the answer for the residential status.